Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a beautiful 2nd of July, 2024, day after Canada Day. That's right. This episode is called Happy Canada Day, sort of. My assessment of how leadership in this country has welcomed and praised this glorious day in Canadian history. And my assessment of the Prime Minister, Pierre Poilievre, and Jagmeet Singh on their beautiful messages to the Canadian people. All that more come at the show. Please, ladies and gentlemen, stick around. Listener view discretion is advised, because I will swear, smoke cigarettes, and of course, make funny faces and make fun of the powers that be. See you in a bit.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me.
Yes, sir.
There is no racial bigotry here. Here you are all equally worthless.
From Western Canada, this is the Crusty Canuck podcast, a Canadian veteran's point of view on political, social, economic issues, and life. Here's Crusty.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 298 of the Crusty Canuck podcast. Happy Canada Day. Well, sort of. I'm your host, Crusty Canuck, and I hope you've all had a wonderful Canada Day. I know I did. I was going to have an episode up yesterday, but I was too busy just relaxing my wife and just chilling out. We were doing a viewing marathon. I'm not going to mention the show because out of respect for my wife's fan base and what she likes to watch, I sat with her and we watched a lot of TV. You know, I did some housework. I did some carpentry around the house and all that too. So I was productive. But you know, it's just the way it is. You know, that's marriage bliss at its best. Anyway, this podcast is also brought to you in part and supported by the Veterans for Freedom Network. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Stand to Veterans for Freedom. And coming soon, Veterans for Freedom TV. There'll be a whole network of us Canucks out there speaking our minds, doing some comedy, podcasts, what have you, you know, coming soon. So pay attention to that too. And just a reminder too, if you're liking here to see, please click like, subscribe, share this content on your social media platforms. I had some good viewership in my last video, but I need some more comments and some more likes, ladies and gentlemen. Please interact. Excuse me. Please interact, get the conversation going out there, get the algorithm going up there so us Canucks have a fair chance on beating this bullshit censorship that the Canadian government wants to put down our throats in the name of safety and non-hate speech, all that good stuff. Anyway, like the title card says, ladies and gentlemen, happy Canada Day and sort of. And it's interesting. You know, I didn't see too much emphasis on celebrating Canada. There was a lot of emphasis on the unknown soldier that went to Newfoundland, rightfully so. Canada brought home the unknown soldier back in May of 2000. I was part of that parade. We went to Lille, France, and did a ceremony, met some guys in the French army, toured the Vimy Ridge, the battleground, and all that good stuff. And it was a real eye-opener towards Canadian history. One of the finer points of my career, I would say, ladies and gentlemen, when I was in the service. But they put too much emphasis on Newfoundland's unknown soldier too. I'm not saying that Newfoundland doesn't deserve the right or whatever the two, but it was Canada Day, and we should celebrate Canada as a whole, not just one secular group per se. And that's just my personal opinion. Sorry if I offend any Newfoundlanders out there, but I have served with many a Newfoundlander, many a Quebecer, many a New Brunswicker, Nova Scotian, Ontarian, Albertan, you name it. I've walked and fought alongside some wonderful Canadians, regardless of race, color, or creed, or identity. So I'll make a long story short. I think there was a lot of deflection on Canada Day, especially when our presiding government doesn't really give two craps about our military. I like how all of a sudden they pay attention to the unknown soldier from that terrible war. And they put emphasis on remembering and respecting, and yet they can't respect us as a whole. So it's a bit of a contradiction. So that's why I chose the title, Happy Canada Day, sort of. Now, unlike some Canadians I have talked to over the past couple of years, other Canadians I have met, coming from such backgrounds as Asian, First Nations, East Indian, and Caucasian Canadians, there's a lot of discontent out there, ladies and gentlemen. And in a way, I don't really blame them, because we have a government in this country, and you've heard me ramble on about this before, ladies and gentlemen, that really doesn't care about what they're doing. Especially since that by-election that happened in Toronto, St. Paul there last week. So we can sit and dissect and assess this and assess that and bring in the panel of experts and sit around and talk about how they feel about this and how the attitude here is this and the attitude here is that. And in this country, there's still an abundance of people, I would say the majority of people, that really, really forget how fucking lucky they are that they live in a country where they can protest their heart's content without being harassed with water cannon or tear gas or rubber bullets or nets or batons and shields. A lot of individuals still forget how lucky they are where they can still go about and print and promote such hateful things, especially when we have a government that wants to curb hate speech, right? It's a walking contradiction because hate speech is a broad term. An example is I hate taxes. Does it make me lazy? No, I hate taxes because I've seen the taxation without representation, and you have too, my wonderful audience. You have seen the taxation with representation, especially in the name of inflation and the higher cost of living and paying off the national debt. So when I say happy Canada Day, sort of, I mean, I love my country. Don't get me wrong, ladies and gentlemen. I love this nation. That flag behind me proves it. And it doesn't matter if I have the Maple Leaf, Union Jack, and the old Red Ensign. That's just a part of my history. That's part of the history that I enjoy. Now, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of parts of our history that just aren't right. And it was terrible what happened to those kids' residential schools. It was terrible about the 60s scoop. It is terrible how we have treated our First Nations. But I did not mistreat anybody in the First Nations community. I never stole anything from the First Nations community. So I'm not going to carry a guilt from from distant relatives to now. I'm not doing that. Right? I'm not going to apologize for the way I was born, and neither should you. You shouldn't have to apologize for who you are. And that doesn't matter if you're white, black, Asian, brown, pink, you identify as a rutabaga, and you should not apologize for how you are, how you identify. It's okay to be you. But when I look at this Canada Day, I look at the lackluster performances that have come from all of our leaders. Now, I'm not going to pinpoint any specific one. I will probably razz on a couple, but I'm not going to pinpoint any specific one. I'm going to show you, my wonderful audience, some of the videos that our leaders have put up in the name of Canada Day, which is not just, I would say, a protocol, but it is the thing to do, especially when you're vying for a seat and vying to get power in this country to govern us all, right? So I'm going to start with Pierre Poilievre's video. My friends at Northern Perspective brought this to my attention, and I watched it, and it was really a decent video. But I want you, my wonderful audience, to decide. For my American listeners out there and viewers, Pierre Poilievre is the opposition of our government. Our parliamentary system usually have 3 or 4 parties that are sitting in Parliament, hobgobbling, squabbling back and forth, as you would, let's say, in the American Senate, back and forth here, back and forth that. But he is the king's opposition. His Majesty's opposition. That's how we deal with it in Canada, ladies and gentlemen. I personally don't give a shit what the king thinks at the moment. I could care less. But needless to say, I'm going to play Pierre Poilievre's message to Canadians on this Canada Day. And then I'm going to play Justin Trudeau's message on this Canada Day. And if you have any issues with the audio, ladies and gentlemen, I've opened up the captions so you can read along and decide amongst yourselves. And it's just the contrast of both of them is just phenomenal. And I'll play those right after this.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
And you're back, ladies and gentlemen, episode 298. Happy Canada Day, sort of, here in the Crusty Canuck podcast. I'm your host, Crusty Canuck. And one more time, if you like and hear what you see, click like, subscribe, share this content on your social media platforms. Do not be shy, ladies and gentlemen. Please click like, subscribe, comment. Help us Canucks get our algorithm out there so we can all get a piece of Canadiana. So like I said, here's a video I'm going to queue up from Pierre Poilievre on his Canada Day message. And just really listen to what he has to say and think about it. And then I'll play Justin Trudeau's for your listening pleasure, for all you guys out there who love Justin and his sunny ways. But like I say, you guys decide. Like I said, I put the captions on so you can read along if you can't hear it. But just decide amongst yourselves, folks.
Is home. And there's nowhere like it on Earth. Nearly 10 million square kilometers of prairie, forest, and tundra. An ancient land stewarded by our Indigenous people since time immemorial. A country with deep political history going back to the Magna Carta. An inventive nation that gave the world insulin, pacemakers, and the telephone. A warrior nation that helped defend freedom and helped defeat ugly socialist ideologies like Nazism, fascism, and communism. Big, proud, free, so much to celebrate. Yet, many are not celebrating right now. Government inflation and taxes rob workers' wages. Our national debt and our housing costs have doubled, and most of our youth have given up on ever owning a home. Our food banks burst with 2 million visits a month. A quarter of our people live in poverty. Homeless encampments multiply and expand. Crime, chaos, drugs, and disorder reign in our once safe streets. Our military is unequipped, and our troops disrespected by government. Our speech censored. Weird, woke obsessions divide our people, destroy our education, disparage our history, and degenerate into our streets. All of these problems, every single one of them, come from the top. While Canada is broken, the people did not break it. The powerful did. But thanks to our treasured parliamentary democracy, the people, the common people, will take back control of their lives to make Canada the freest nation on earth. As always, our past was built by, and our future belongs to, these common people. Often, they're wrongly called ordinary people, but they are extraordinary. The firefighter that runs towards the flames, and the police officer that run towards the gunshots, who kiss their kids goodbye in the morning, hoping it won't be the last time. They're not ordinary. They are extraordinary. The trades workers that turn the wrenches, swing the hammers, lay the bricks, and now program the 3D printer. They're not ordinary. They're extraordinary. Those who build stuff, fix stuff, dig stuff, and make stuff. The farmers who turn sunlight and air, seed and soil into dinner on your plate, and yet who, in the words of Paul Harvey, bail their families together with the soft, strong bonds of sharing. The troops who stare down our enemies and stand on guard for our home and native land. None of these people are ordinary. They are extraordinary. On Canada Day, we celebrate the ancient liberties that free these extraordinary people to do these extraordinary things. As a small town lawyer by the name of John Diefenbaker said, I am a Canadian, a free Canadian, free to speak without fear, free to worship God in my own way, free to stand for what I think right, free to oppose what I believe wrong, free to choose those who govern my country. As we celebrate what Dief called this heritage of freedom, let me say, Happy Canada Day. Let's bring it home.
That was Pierre Poilievre, ladies and gentlemen, member Majesty's opposition in our parliament. Now, listen to what he said. And of course, you read what he said too. Common sense. Now, people have argued, there's no such thing as common sense, it's just sensible solutions. Well, common sense meaning we as a people, we all have to go to work, pay our bills. We all have to keep the lights on. We all have to do these wonderful things. And we all deserve to keep our money. Okay? Note how he talked about people fighting against forms of socialism and communism, right? Tyranny. Okay. Now, I don't know if I want to vote for him or not, but he's got some pretty good ideas, and he's speaking to the minds and the hearts of a lot of middle-class Canadians out there. Middle-class people that pay the fucking bills. Middle-class people that have been reassessed a couple of times this year in the name of taxation. Middle-class people that have had to go to food banks. Middle-class people that have had to borrow money. Yours truly. Middle class people have had to ask people for money. You know what I'm saying? So we are seeing a contrast here. And like I said in my last episode, the prime minister is being pressured from all sides of his party to step down, to resign. Former cabinet members from the Chrétien government has said so. John Manley used to work for the Jean Chrétien government, saying he better step down. Catherine McKenna, Climate Barbie, talking about, I have no time for people who disagree with climate change. She has the goal to sit there and say, oh, I don't think you should work for this party anymore. You know what I mean? So, shit's going downhill when someone like her is saying, you better step down. I'm educated. I'm a lawyer. I'm a lawyer. You better step down. You know what I mean? So I'm going to play Justin Trudeau's message here. Okay. I'm going to play Justin Trudeau's message, and then you decide, okay, which one has the better pitch? Who has the better sales pitch? Okay. Because, like I said, the pot is boiling. The pot's been boiling for a long time, but you'll get to see who actually is genuine and who isn't, ladies and gentlemen. So you decide. Okay. And tell me what you think.
Hello, everyone. Happy Canada Day. No matter where you are, I hope you're celebrating the incredible people, the land, and the story that is Canada. It's a story that began more than 157 years ago with Indigenous peoples who've called this land home since time immemorial. It's a story of sacrifice. When Canadian soldiers stormed the beaches of Normandy, they knew they were risking their lives. But freedom, even for those across an ocean, even for generations of people they'd never meet, was worth fighting for. Our rights and freedoms are never guaranteed. They're safeguarded every day by trailblazers, journalists, activists, organizers, people who want to keep building a country where we can disagree, sometimes passionately, but where we always come together in the pursuit of something greater than ourselves. A country where everyone has a fair shot, no matter who they are, where they come from, how they pray, or whom they love. Those are the values that hold us together as Canadians. It's the reason so many people around the world save up everything they have and leave behind everything they know to be part of our story. It's a story that includes injustices, ones that we're confronting on our shared path of reconciliation. It's a story of learning that we're stronger not in spite of our differences, but because of them. And it's a story that's still being written by incredible Canadians who step up for their community and country. From the workers and volunteers who cared for our most vulnerable in the long days of the pandemic, to the brave first responders who even now race towards danger to protect homes from wildfires, to the women and men of the Canadian Armed Forces who stand on the front lines fighting for democracy and freedom. People, brave, kind, resilient people. That is the story of Canada. That's what makes our country the very best place on earth. So let's keep making it even better. Happy Canada Day.
Yeah. Okay. Now, when I listen to that, and I've listened to it a couple times, ladies and gentlemen, I have, and it's bullshit. It's bullshit. Especially how he talks about how a resilient and brave, kind people, Canadian Armed Forces. You're praising our military, yet you've done your best to squander it. And there's bureaucrats that have sat behind you and written such nasty articles about whiteness, toxic masculinity, and how we have such a toxic military culture. Okay. You've never respected our military, Justin. Neither did your old man. Neither does your party, especially the backbenchers that were serving members and sat there and let you go ahead and squander resources and give away resources to dirty fucking wars. Now, I'm getting my personal side out here because I was a member of the military, and I remember during the Chrétien years how he treated us. Harper was getting a bit better with things, but then along comes Justin Trudeau and fucks it all up again. Okay. You can also tell just the way he was standing there and smiling into the camera. It's like he was a broadcaster. It wasn't like he was a leader. What was he leading? We all remember what he said to that veteran in February 2018. You're asking for more than we're able to give. So I don't believe him when it comes to unity of this country, because his party had a big hand in regards to dividing this country when it came to vaccinations, when it came to where people stood on the pandemic and where people stood on the truckers issue. So I don't believe a word he says. And honestly, ladies and gentlemen, I don't think you should believe it either. Now, I'm not going to tell you what to think, but it's obvious. His actions have spoken louder than his words. His mere virtue, his mere toasting, his mere speeches. Like it shows my title card. This was taken from him. He was in Markham, Canada, dancing like a buffoon, right? Winning hearts and minds and votes. He created a lot of problems in this nation. His decisions, his backers put us into debt, which is going to make it harder for myself, my wife, my friends, my family, your friends, your family, your wives, your husbands, your boyfriends, and girlfriends to get along, to get ahead. Because of his taxation, his inflationary means, his lack of understanding monetary policy, and his lack of respect for this country. And it shows. It shows, ladies and gentlemen. Now I'm going to present to you what Jagmeet Singh said for Canada Day. Okay, wait for this. Right. I'm going to show you what he said, and ironically enough, it's pretty, it's pretty cool. But I'll play it after this.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
And like I said, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the podcast, episode 298. Happy Canada Day, sort of. That's right. And without further ado, here's Mr. Jagmeet Singh giving us our Canada Day message. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. He didn't fucking have one. I didn't see anything in regards to what Jagmeet thinks about Canada and the workers, especially when he looks at his $2,000 watch and gets his suits tailor-made, says he stands up for the working class and says, well, we've got to get to the bottom of this whole interference thing. Yet he wants to blame Loblaws for all his woes, even though his little brother is basically lobbying for the Metro grocery chain. So we're seeing contradictions. Now, this episode might have looked like I'm trying to favor Poilievre. In a way, I do, because he does have some great sensible policies. But then again, he's also a career politician, right? And there's a lot of conservatives and liberals back and forth, and some NDPers that are career politicians too. My suggestion for this Canada Day is this, ladies and gentlemen. Let us start electing people that really want to do the job and do the best of their fucking abilities. Let us do what we should do. Look after the common people, like Pierre said, the Magna Carta, basic freedoms. Let us get together and discuss things as adults. You can protest what you want till the cows come home. I personally don't care. But if you're out protesting, saying you're standing up for solidarity with this and solidarity with that, and then you're going around smashing property and threatening people and threatening journalists, and that's all journalists, not the mainstream ones or the independent ones, that's all journalists, then as far as I'm concerned, your protest is null and fucking void. Okay? If you want to diss this country because you don't like our colonial past, that's fine. But I've never called myself a colonialist. And I sure as hell never called myself a settler. I didn't settle here. I was born here. I didn't come out to Western Canada with a couple of oxen and a wagon and 10 pounds 50 with a letter from the Queen saying, go, go, be prosper, be useful. No, it didn't work that way. Because when I had my uniform on, it had the maple leaf on it, had this thing on it. That never made me a settler. That made me a Canadian. And a proud Canadian. Now, you can sit and disenfranchise me all you want. But I've worked with men and served with men and women alike that would tell you this exact goddamn same thing. And it wouldn't matter if they were French, wouldn't matter if they were English, wouldn't matter if they were Chinese, Japanese, Korean, Cree, Blood, Blackfoot, Iroquois, Ojibwe, it wouldn't fucking matter. We stood together for something. This, Canada, our home and native land. It's that simple, ladies and gentlemen. Like the old adage, you can love it or you can leave it. That's up to you. No one here is going to force you to stay. But while you go to these institutions and get yourself an education, while you go to these institutions to learn a trade or learn a language, i.e., English or French, while you're given the opportunity to plant the seeds of thriving in this nation, show a little bit of gratitude for it and respect. No one's saying you have to watch a hockey game or watch a soccer game or pick up a gun and learn how to shoot or learn how to rope or raise cattle. But you have the freedom in this country to choose to do that. But while you're making those decisions, keep in mind that you might be electing politicians that want to take that away from you in a fucking heartbeat in the name of wokeness and virtue. But they'll dress it up as a shit sandwich and call it about protection and safety when we know the truth. The truth is Canada perfect? No. Is the United States perfect? No. Is any working democracy perfect? No. That's up to you, the newcomer, the citizen, the permanent resident, to make it perfect. Right? Because the opportunity is there. And we have to keep fighting for these opportunities while we still have them. I presented you to the speech that Justin Trudeau gave us. I saw right through the bullshit. Any sane person that puts his country into debt and divides it cannot sit there and actually put together a heartfelt message in celebrating Canada when he and his party has intentionally gone out of their way to fucking cut it in pieces. Okay? Pierre Poilievre did a very good job. I thought that was an effective speech, a great monologue to talk about the plight and what can be done to make this country great. And of course, in sarcasm, I put Jagmeet Singh's up. I don't know what he put up. That's the thing. But when you look at the leadership in this country and what they've done, okay, we could all pinpoint what could have been done here or could have been done there, what politicians should have said here and said there. I personally think there should be more politicians out in the street talking with those truckers when the fiasco was going on. I believe more politicians should actually have engaged Tamara Litch, Chris Barber, Tom Mazzaro, and actually had a proper conversation with them rather than just a false accusation bantering back and forth. You know, like that Yara Sack said, the vitriol, honk honk is means for heil this, heil that. That's supposed to be an educated official working for the betterment of her people. Yet she just promoted division. Same thing as Jennifer O'Connell accusing Leslie Lewis of being associated with a Nazi. Really? So we're going to have to really think and assess. And if the Liberals were smart, they would actually shut out Justin Trudeau and own their shit. Because as far as I'm concerned, they're all guilty for their behind the scenes and their slapping and tickling and tainting this, tainting that, and forcing us to eat their poop sandwiches. Right? They're all guilty of it, ladies and gentlemen. I could care less what the Liberal intent is right now because they are not the Liberals that I grew up with. And they sure as hell don't represent liberalism. They wouldn't do liberty if it slapped them in the fucking ass and gave them $1.25. They wouldn't. But you and I do. And it's time we fight for it. It's that simple, ladies and gentlemen. Anyhow, once again, thank you very much for everyone who stuck around. Thank you for the new subscribers I've had. If you do like and hear what you see, please click like and subscribe. Do not shy away. Give me a comment. Give me a thumbs up. Send me an email. My contact information is in my description. As always, ladies and gentlemen, send me a letter. Send me a card. Send me some cash. Send me some swagger. I don't care. Whatever you want to do, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to donate, please consider donating. Like I've said in my last episode, if I can get about 60 or 70 people maybe tossing in $3 a month, that would help me a long way, ladies and gentlemen, make this podcast even better and help me financially with the way things are going right now. But if you can't do it, that's fine. I'll still put the show up for free and you can enjoy it at leisure. Please share around, comment, like, and subscribe, all that good stuff. And just be yourselves. Let's enjoy this summer. Let's celebrate Canada for what it is. A country. A damn good country. How else do I say it? Anyhow, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have a great, hope you had a great long weekend. It is now summertime, really, really summertime. It's hot out. So, you know, it's hot and I got my toque on. Go figure, eh? It's all part of the shtick, ladies and gentlemen. And people have asked me, wear your hockey jersey? And it's like, well, no, I got my toque and I got my favorite band. One of Canada's favorite sons, Rush. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. So, and just do what you can to be good to each other this time of year. I'm working on going to Ontario for a few weeks. So I'm getting that sorted as we speak. So there might be some time in August where you won't see my ugly mug here in the podcast, but I will keep you updated, all that good stuff. But I will get episodes up at least 3 times a week until I leave. But do what you can, help each other in these trying times. Just try to be fair, reasonable. Don't buy the bullshit. And treat people the way you want to be treated, ladies and gentlemen. Special thank you to them, my friends at Northern Perspective, Ryan and Tanya. Great job. I will leave links to their latest video in regards to the same thing, what Pierre Poilievre said and what Justin Trudeau said, and the contrast of their videos. And we got to stand better, ladies and gentlemen. We got to stand higher and stronger. This summer, I know it's going to be tough for some people, but we shall persevere like we always do. And like I always say, ladies and gentlemen, humanity and merit wins the day. Take care. I'll probably see you Wednesday. Bye for now.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me. Oh, yes, sir. There is no racial bigotry here. Here you are all equally worthless.
This has been another episode of the Crusty Canuck podcast. Stay sane and thank you for listening. From Western Canada, this is the Crusty Canuck podcast.
Mama says I have a face for radio. What do you think?